burglary in the Catalina foothills. PCSD sharing this video today of 3 men breaking into a home through a back door and stealing valuables from a safe.
Catalina foothills man says when he and his wife were on vacation, a woman wearing an Amazon t-shirt knocked on their door claiming to have a package for them. When they didn't answer, he says a group of people she was with barged into their home and stole from them.
As the mystery into where Nancy Guthrie is, I've begun doing some research into the Catalina foothills. And I found these 2 robberies from September of 2025. There was one arrest made, the female who you see in the next video, with an Amazon package. And I couldn't help but think of Nancy's Amazon
Monica,
package.
the homeowner, wants to remain anonymous, but he says it happened here behind me in his gated community. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is now investigating. When Ben was inside his home near Alvernon and River on September 2nd, he got this unexpected visitor.
A gal was wearing an Amazon t-shirt.
I have a package that needs a signature.
Ben says he and his wife did not answer right away because they were not expecting any delivery. He says the woman holding the blue envelope stuck around for a few seconds, but when they went to answer the door, she left.
We didn't think anything serious, we just let it be.
That was until Ben says the same woman wearing an Amazon t-shirt came back to his front door this past Saturday after 1 p.m.
The package.
But Ben says this time he and his wife were not home because they were on vacation.
She came with an SUV.
Ben is referring to this blue SUV on the right side of this Ring camera video.
And with another gentleman, or even more than one gentleman.
And after no answer, the group left.
45 minutes later, the same vehicle came. The robbers came through the side. One of them came through the side of the house. The other 2 joined him from the wash.
Ring camera video shows multiple men hitting Ben's back door. Ben says the men used this rock to gain entry.
They took a lot of jewelry. They took a safe box and they pepper sprayed our dog.
The dog is okay, but Ben admits his security system was turned off this past Saturday.
In early February 2026, the quiet neighborhood where Nancy Guthrie lived was thrust into national attention. An 84-year-old woman, well known as the mother of a prominent television personality, vanished from her home under circumstances that immediately suggested foul play. What many assumed was a safe and serene community suddenly felt vulnerable, and questions arose about how a crime could occur in an area long considered secure. The neighborhood itself is typically peaceful, with spacious homes, long driveways, and minimal street traffic. Residents often take pride in the sense of safety afforded by these surroundings. Yet, Nancy Guthrie's disappearance revealed that even areas with low crime rates are not immune when opportunity meets intent. The quiet streets, the secluded homes, and the limited activity at night may have, paradoxically, made it easier for a criminal to approach unnoticed. Initial investigations revealed signs that a crime had occurred inside her home. Observations of the entry points and the home environment suggested that the incident was not voluntary. Investigators began considering whether the situation might have originated as a burglary or robbery attempt that escalated unexpectedly. A crime of opportunity in this context could quickly turn dangerous, demonstrating how ordinary property crimes can escalate into serious threats to personal safety. The idea that someone might have targeted the home for theft highlights a sobering truth. Criminal activity can happen anywhere. Even in neighborhoods perceived as insulated from such events, a single lapse in security or a determined intruder can lead to life-altering consequences. The possibility that a burglary was involved adds urgency to the investigation and reinforces the need for heightened awareness in all communities. Residents nearby were quickly alerted to the potential danger, and law enforcement began canvassing the area.
I did ask specifically for the 31st of January and the morning of the 1st of February, and then they wanted to know if we saw anything suspicious on our camera.
Collecting surveillance footage and speaking with neighbors. The message was clear: vigilance matters. What might seem like an isolated incident could have far-reaching implications, reminding everyone that security and preparedness are never optional. The events surrounding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance became a wake-up call that no one is truly immune to crime, and that attention, awareness, and community cooperation are essential in preventing tragedy. While Nancy Guthrie's disappearance shocked her community, it was not entirely without precedent. In the weeks and months leading up to the incident, residents reported suspicious activity and attempted burglaries in the same neighborhood. These events, though not always widely publicized, painted a picture of a community that had experienced pockets of crime, even in an area traditionally considered safe. Understanding these previous incidents is crucial, because they provide context for why what happened to Nancy was not just an isolated tragedy. It fits into a broader pattern that could affect anyone. Several residents recalled unusual behavior in the streets at odd hours: unfamiliar vehicles driving slowly through quiet blocks, figures loitering near homes, and attempts to access properties without authorization. While none of these earlier incidents escalated into serious harm, they represented warning signs. Criminals often test boundaries, looking for weaknesses, and in many cases, a small theft or attempted break-in can serve as a precursor to more serious crimes. The notion that a crime can escalate from minor theft to violent confrontation is an important reminder that vigilance is necessary everywhere. These prior robberies were diverse in nature. Some involved forced entry into homes when residents were absent, while others were opportunistic thefts from unlocked doors or garages. Law enforcement noted that these crimes were sometimes concentrated in specific streets or cul-de-sacs, suggesting that certain areas were being targeted repeatedly. The frequency of these events may have been low compared to urban centers, but in a community where safety is assumed, even one or two incidents can significantly erode the sense of security. The fact that these events occurred before Nancy's disappearance highlights a dangerous reality. Criminals often escalate their behavior over time. What begins as a simple theft can, under certain circumstances, turn into a high-risk encounter. Residents who previously dismissed small incidents as minor inconveniences may now realize that early warning signs should not be ignored. Community awareness, reporting suspicious behavior promptly, and taking proactive security measures are essential steps to prevent such escalation. Ultimately, the previous robberies in the neighborhood serve as a cautionary tale. They remind us that crime can touch any community, regardless of wealth or reputation, and that staying alert is not merely prudent, it is necessary for safety. The lessons from these earlier incidents set the stage for understanding the full significance of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance and why it must be taken seriously by everyone. The idea that Nancy Guthrie's disappearance could be linked to previous robberies in her neighborhood is more than speculation. It is a critical angle for investigators and the community alike. Law enforcement often looks for patterns when assessing criminal activity, seeking connections between seemingly unrelated incidents. In this case, the timing, location, and circumstances of prior break-ins raised questions about whether a perpetrator had been monitoring the area and escalating their actions. Previous robberies in the neighborhood involved tactics that bear similarity to what may have occurred during Nancy's disappearance. For instance, multiple incidents involved checking doors and windows for entry points, moving cautiously through quiet streets, and targeting homes in areas with limited visibility or security coverage. These behaviors suggest a methodical approach rather than random opportunism, which is a key consideration for investigators. If a criminal had been testing the waters with smaller thefts, it is conceivable that Nancy's home became a target in a more serious attempt to seize valuable property, or worse, confront the resident directly. Investigators also examine the timing of these crimes. Prior robberies often occurred during early morning or late-night hours when streets were quiet, mirroring the circumstances surrounding Nancy's disappearance. This pattern supports the idea that someone may have carefully studied the neighborhood's routines and security measures before acting. Criminals often prefer homes that appear unoccupied or vulnerable, and even in affluent communities, the lack of immediate witnesses or security cameras can create an opportunity. Community members, when interviewed by police, noted other suspicious activity that could be connected to these robberies: unfamiliar vehicles repeatedly driving past homes, unknown individuals loitering near properties, and minor property damage that might have gone unreported. Collectively, these observations form a narrative of gradual escalation, a scenario that serves as a stark reminder that no neighborhood is entirely safe from crime. Understanding potential connections between past robberies and Nancy Guthrie's disappearance is not meant to incite fear, but to emphasize caution. Patterns in criminal behavior reveal that vigilance, awareness, and preventive measures can reduce the likelihood of escalation. For residents, this means paying attention to unusual activity, securing properties consistently, and cooperating with law enforcement. Nancy's case underscores the harsh reality. A crime that begins as a seemingly minor theft can spiral into a situation with far-reaching consequences, affecting the lives of anyone in the vicinity. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance sent shockwaves far beyond her immediate family. In a neighborhood previously considered safe, the incident created a pervasive sense of vulnerability. Residents who once walked their streets without worry now felt the unsettling reality that crime can reach even the most insulated communities. The psychological and emotional impact of such events is often as profound as the physical consequences, altering daily routines and fostering anxiety. In the aftermath, many neighbors began reassessing their own security measures. Simple habits, like leaving doors unlocked or relying on the assumption that a quiet neighborhood is inherently safe, were scrutinized. Families installed new locks, security cameras, motion sensor lights, and alarm systems. The heightened awareness also led to increased vigilance, with neighbors watching each other's homes more closely and reporting any suspicious activity promptly. This sense of communal responsibility underscores the fact that crime prevention is rarely an individual effort. It requires collective attention and cooperation. The fear generated by Nancy's disappearance was compounded by knowledge of previous robberies in the area. Residents recognized a pattern that might otherwise have been dismissed as isolated incidents. The realization that criminals could observe, test, and exploit vulnerabilities over time created a chilling awareness. Any home, regardless of value or location, could become a target. Children walking to school, elderly residents running errands, or even neighbors working in their yards were suddenly reminded that vigilance was necessary at all times. This fear also manifested in social behavior. Community meetings, online neighborhood groups, and local watch initiatives grew in prominence as residents sought ways to protect themselves and support one another. Conversations shifted from casual greetings to discussions of safety protocols, alarm systems, and surveillance strategies. People became more cautious with personal information and public visibility, recognizing that even seemingly minor details could make a home more attractive to criminals. Beyond practical measures, there was an emotional toll. Anxiety, mistrust, and grief intertwined as neighbors grappled with the unknown circumstances surrounding Nancy's disappearance. The case served as a stark reminder that security is not guaranteed by affluence or low crime rates. It emphasized the importance of taking every precaution seriously and treating early warning signs, like previous robberies and suspicious activity, as signals that proactive action is necessary. In this way, the community's response to Nancy Guthrie's case illustrates both the psychological impact of crime and the critical need for preparedness in protecting lives and property. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance and the preceding robberies in her neighborhood highlight a hard truth. Crime can affect anyone, anywhere, and even a single lapse in vigilance can have serious consequences. One of the most basic yet effective measures is securing entry points. Doors, windows, and garages are common targets for intruders, especially in residential areas where homes are spaced out. Residents should ensure that all doors have strong locks, deadbolts, and reinforced frames. Windows should have secure latches, and sliding doors may benefit from additional bars or locks that prevent forced entry. Even small investments, such as upgrading locks or installing secondary reinforcements, can significantly reduce vulnerability. Lighting is another critical aspect of home security. Well-lit exteriors, especially around entrances, pathways, and secluded areas, deter criminals who rely on darkness to avoid detection. Motion sensor lights are particularly effective, as sudden illumination can startle intruders and alert neighbors. Additionally, keeping interior lights on timers when away from home can create the impression that someone is present, reducing the likelihood of a break-in. Technology also plays an essential role. Security cameras, doorbell cameras, and alarm systems provide both monitoring and deterrence. Cameras can record suspicious activity, which may assist law enforcement in identifying suspects. Modern alarm systems often include smartphone connectivity, enabling residents to receive real-time alerts and respond quickly to potential threats. Even visible cameras can act as a psychological deterrent, signaling to would-be intruders that the home is actively monitored. Equally important is community awareness. Neighborhood watch programs and open communication between neighbors strengthen collective security. Sharing information about suspicious activity, reporting attempted break-ins, and coordinating patrols or check-ins create an environment where criminals are more likely to be noticed and stopped. Residents must also remain vigilant about personal behavior, such as locking cars, securing valuables, and avoiding public announcements of absences from home. Finally, preparedness extends to personal safety. Having emergency plans, keeping essential phone numbers accessible, and knowing local law enforcement protocols can save precious time during a crisis. Nancy Guthrie's case illustrates that crime can escalate quickly, and proactive measures at both the individual and community level are vital. Taking these steps does more than protect property. It can protect lives, preserve peace of mind, and prevent an incident from turning tragic. When a crime like the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie occurs, law enforcement relies on a structured, methodical approach to uncover facts, identify suspects, and prevent further incidents. Understanding these investigative steps can help communities appreciate why vigilance matters and how collaboration with authorities is crucial in maintaining neighborhood safety. The first stage of any investigation is securing the scene. Officers arrive quickly to ensure that evidence is preserved and to prevent contamination. This includes documenting physical evidence such as fingerprints, DNA samples, surveillance footage, and signs of forced entry. In residential areas, investigators often examine doors, windows, and surrounding property for any clues that indicate how an intruder entered or exited. Even small details, like a disturbed flower bed or footprints, can be critical in establishing the timeline of events. Following this, law enforcement conducts interviews and canvassing. Neighbors, delivery personnel, and anyone who might have been in the area are questioned to gather observations about unusual behavior, unfamiliar vehicles, or strangers in the neighborhood. Door-to-door inquiries are common in cases like Nancy's, as these first-hand accounts often provide information that surveillance cameras alone cannot capture. Authorities may also request residents to share personal security footage, which can reveal critical evidence that would otherwise go unnoticed. Analyzing patterns is another cornerstone of investigations. By reviewing past robberies, attempted break-ins, or suspicious incidents, detectives look for trends or behaviors that suggest escalation. They study the timing of crimes, geographic clustering, and methods of entry. In Nancy Guthrie's case, previous robberies in the neighborhood may help investigators determine whether the same individual or group was responsible. Recognizing these patterns allows authorities to allocate resources efficiently and anticipate potential risks. Finally, cooperation with the public is essential. Law enforcement often issues alerts, provides safety guidelines, and establishes tip lines to encourage community involvement. Residents who report suspicious activity promptly become partners in crime prevention. The success of these investigations depends not just on officers, but on the collective awareness and responsiveness of the neighborhood. The case underscores that vigilant citizens, combined with professional investigative techniques, are crucial in protecting communities and preventing future tragedies. In essence, the methods law enforcement employs, scene preservation, canvassing, pattern analysis, and community engagement, highlight a clear lesson. Crime prevention and investigation are most effective when residents are alert, cooperative, and proactive. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance is a stark reminder that safety is a shared responsibility, and understanding investigative processes empowers communities to play an active role in safeguarding themselves. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, set against the backdrop of prior robberies in her neighborhood, is more than a local story. It is a cautionary tale with broad implications for society. Crime in residential areas, no matter how affluent or quiet, can happen to anyone. Ignoring warning signs, assuming safety is guaranteed, or underestimating the risks can have devastating consequences. One critical lesson is that crime often escalates over time. Many residential robberies start as opportunistic attempts, checking for unlocked doors, unattended property, or weak security measures. In some cases, what begins as minor theft can lead to confrontations, abductions, or even violent encounters. The progression from low-risk crimes to serious offenses underscores the importance of vigilance. Communities that treat early signs, such as minor thefts, loitering, or vandalism, as trivial may inadvertently allow patterns to develop that embolden criminals. Another consideration is the impact on psychological well-being. When crime enters a previously safe neighborhood, it erodes the sense of security that residents take for granted. People begin to fear for themselves, their families, and their property. Anxiety, mistrust, and social tension can grow, disrupting the cohesion of a community. In this context, taking crime seriously is not just about preventing loss. It is about maintaining peace of mind and community stability. The societal implications extend beyond individual neighborhoods. Residential crime illustrates that no one is immune, regardless of socioeconomic status, location, or lifestyle. Criminals may target anyone perceived as vulnerable or complacent. Public awareness campaigns, neighborhood vigilance programs, and proactive law enforcement measures are essential tools in preventing these crimes from spreading or escalating. Communities that work together, share information, and implement safety protocols strengthen social resilience against crime. Finally, Nancy Guthrie's case reminds us that prevention requires action, not assumption. Ignoring suspicious activity, failing to secure property, or dismissing minor incidents as irrelevant can have serious repercussions. By taking crime seriously, communities protect not only their residents but also the social fabric that makes neighborhoods safe and livable. The disappearance serves as a stark, undeniable warning. Safety is a responsibility shared by everyone, and complacency can be costly. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie and the context of prior robberies in her neighborhood serve as a sobering reminder that crime can touch anyone, anywhere. What may appear to be a quiet, secure community is not immune to opportunistic or escalating criminal behavior. From the initial signs of suspicious activity to the broader implications for community safety, the events surrounding Nancy's case underscore the importance of awareness, preparedness, and collective responsibility. One of the key takeaways is the importance of vigilance. Residents must recognize that small warning signs, unfamiliar vehicles, loitering individuals, or attempted theft, can indicate larger threats. Acting promptly on these signs, whether by reporting suspicious behavior to authorities or enhancing personal and home security, can prevent incidents from escalating. Vigilance is not merely a personal precaution. It is a contribution to the safety of the entire community. Another lesson is that security is multifaceted. Physical measures such as strong locks, security cameras, lighting, and alarm systems create layers of protection that deter criminals. Equally important is social vigilance, neighbors watching out for one another, participating in neighborhood watch programs, and fostering open communication. The combination of physical security and community awareness provides the strongest defense against residential crime. Nancy Guthrie's case also illustrates that crime prevention and response are shared responsibilities. Law enforcement can investigate, gather evidence, and respond to threats, but their effectiveness is amplified when residents are alert, cooperative, and proactive. Reporting suspicious activity, preserving evidence, and following official guidance strengthen the partnership between the community and authorities, making it more difficult for criminals to succeed. Finally, the broader societal message is clear. Crime does not discriminate. It can affect anyone regardless of wealth, status, or location. By taking incidents seriously, learning from prior robberies, and implementing preventive measures, communities can protect lives, maintain peace of mind, and prevent potential tragedies. Nancy Guthrie's disappearance reminds us that preparedness, awareness, and collective action are not optional. They are essential. Safety is a shared responsibility, and vigilance can make the difference between vulnerability and protection.